Thanks for your company. The details now. Anti-graft campaigner Vitus Azim is demanding a probe into circumstances leading to the signing of COVID testing contract at the Kotoka International Airport. Now, this follows emerging details suggesting the Ghana Airport Company Limited was shortchanged by Frontiers Healthcare Services, which was contracted by government to conduct the tests. Documents cited by JoyNews show that the company agreed to pay the GACL $10 per test, but sources close to the company say they are only receiving $4. This, they say, violates the contract. Mr. Azim tells JoyNews there's a cloud of secrecy surrounding the contract, and this raises concerns.
First COVID-19 case was recorded on March 12, 2020. So I don't think that September 2020 was, we needed to wait till September 2020 to start thinking about getting somebody to do the test. We had brought Ghanaians in and we had isolated them for 2 weeks in hotels, very expensive hotels. So are we saying that we didn't think that there would be a need to do some tests later on? I don't want to believe in that. You said the emergency. You cannot wait till the last day or the day that you want to start saying and award a contract. You didn't even have somebody, and it could even mean that they didn't go through the procurement process and somebody just popped up and they decided to award the contract to him or her, and I think that raises some concern.
Let's stay a while on COVID. The Wa Technical Institute in the Upper West region has become the latest education facility to report a case. At least one student has tested positive, whilst 30 others thought to have come into contact with that student have been put in isolation. Upper West Region correspondent Rafiq Salam reports that some students are panicking over the situation.
It was near chaos, panic, fear, and above all, cacophony of noise from students at the Wa Technical Institute upon hearing that one of their female colleagues had tested positive for the COVID-19 disease. Management of the school had strategized to hold the information closer to their chest to prevent the larger student body from hearing about the unfortunate incident. The cat was however let out of the bag when they tried to isolate 30 of the female students who may have come into contact with a confirmed case. They cried their hearts out, but the authorities managed to relocate the 30 female students to the school's conference room, and they have been there since last Saturday. There have been little or no information on the confirmed case, and the 30 students allegedly isolated at the school's conference room. The school's authorities are tight-lipped about what is going on at the school. What's more, they are even pretending that none of their students had neither tested positive for COVID-19, nor 30 of them isolated at the school's conference room. We tried to speak to the principal of the college, Dr. Saka Adams, on the issue, but he directed us to speak to the assistant principal of the institute in charge of administration, Ospe Dambia. Ospe Dambia insisted that he was unaware that a student had contracted the COVID-19 virus and 30 of them were being isolated at the school's conference room. So he continued to play hide and seek with the truth. The team, however, contacted the Deputy Upper West Regional Director of Health Services in charge of public health, Dr. Richard Budaseme, who broke the ice and told us that one of the students had tested positive, but he was unaware of where the 30 students were being isolated at the school. The school's management had tried their best to keep the information to themselves and close their doors to the public. But now that it is all over, what next? Reporting for JoyNews, Rafiq Salam. Wow.
Let's go back to that story about COVID case being reported at the Wa Technical Institute. Correspondent Rafiq Salam joins us. Hello, Rafiq. So in that report we heard a while ago, the students were panicking over this situation. What's the current situation in the school?
The current situation, I've just been told by the Deputy Regional Director of Health Services in charge of public health, Dr. Wuda, that the isolated students have been relocated from the conference room. They have now been taken to 3 classrooms, and that is that's where they are now currently staying. But the situation at the school, I can report to you that is calm. But there were fears after when they had the information that one of them was confirmed to have tested positive.
And we understand that the student is asymptomatic. So what circumstances or conditions necessitated the tests?
We are not privy to that information about how they came about, but they were told that they went to the municipal hospital, and that was where he was tested positive. So when the report came out that he tested positive, the school management wanted to be, had the report closer to their chest. They didn't want the other students to know, to prevent the panic from happening. But when they had the information and in trying to separate the confirmed case from the rest of the students, and that was where the students got one away, and then it really nearly got afterwards to the school. And so it's a case that has been on since Saturday, and then the information that I'm told that the confirmed case has been asked to go home where he's receiving treatment because it's a mild case, while the 30 others have been isolated at the school.
Okay, so these 30 students who've been isolated, have you been told if there are any plans to get them tested? The regional health directors are saying that their plans are to go into the matter, and then after that, because the municipality is in charge of that, and then very soon they will do their best to see that those students are tested, and after that they'll be quarantined for the next 14 days. Rafiq, tell us how the community as a whole is also reacting to this news.
The community is really not happy about the incident because they were not happy that since Saturday the school authorities or the school management hasn't come clear on issues because it's an issue that has been on since Saturday, and so they were playing it. They tried to play it, keep it to their chest, and then it's unlike the Xavier situation where they came out with relief. A lesson from the public and also parents that this is what is happening in the school, but we are taking steps, to work at it. But in the case of the World Technical Institute, nothing like that has happened. So it was really worrying to parents and also the community here because they are not really happy. They are even mad at the school authorities for not telling them what is really happening to their boss and then keeping the reports closer to their chest. So the community is up in anger against what is happening at the school.
All right, while you're here, Rafiq, let me find out from you if there are any conversations happening about the vaccines that arrived in the country yesterday. We've been doing some stories, getting the experts to respond to the myths and concerns about the virus. But do you hear any of those concerns being raised in WA?
Yes, there are a lot of concerns that have been raised, but majority of the people that I spoke to about the vaccine, they are ready to have the jab. But some will say that, okay, though they have some kind of mixed feelings on it, they would like the president and also probably the health minister to take the jab first. And so once they take that jab for a week or two, and then if nothing happens or so much happens to them, then they will also go up for theirs. But if not, many people or majority of the people are really happy that at least government has brought in a vaccine in order to put a lid to expiring disease.
Finally, before you go, as the visuals of the story you sent are rolling, I observed that quite a lot of people are wearing their masks, and apart from one man I just saw, is that the picture at large?
That is a picture at the school and also some schools in the one municipality. And I can report to you that, once there was a confirmed case of COVID-19 in the school, they have again, they have the anti on the safety health protocols at the school. And so even when I visited the school gate was closed, it was unauthorized vehicles were not supposed to enter. And so they have taken certain precautionary measures so that nothing until what happens again. So I was not surprised that when I saw a kind of safety protocol being adhered to strictly at the school.
Rafiq Salam there, thank you very much. He is our Upper West Region correspondent, giving us some updates and additional information on that story about a student at the World Technical Institute tested positive for COVID-19. Obviously, I did ask him about concerns about the vaccines that arrived in the country yesterday. Let's stay within the health sector, Work has started on the construction of a 5-story building to replace the long-stalled maternal and children's block project at the Okomfo Teaching Hospital. Excavation of the project site is ongoing as contractors prepare to demolish the existing structure. After about 40 decades of neglect, the existing building failed a structural integrity test. Nanaya Ojima joined a tour of the structure by the Ministry of Health.
The new building will be constructed with a €138 million budget already secured for the project. The bed capacity will, however, be reduced by 250. Head of Architecture at the Ministry of Health, Richard Vanderpoy, briefed journalists on the scope of the proposed new structure.
Within 3 years, the contractor promises to finish this structure, including demolishing the existing one. I'm in discussions with Confanochi to finalize the detailed internal layouts. And this building is going to have 6 floors with 1 sub-basement and then 1 floor podium for the outpatients department. We have almost 200 spaces, car parking.
Management of Confanochi Teaching Hospital is in support of the demolition of the existing structure. Dr. Oheneba Osu Danso is Chief Executive Officer.
The hospital's main interests currently are the following: that it should not affect the duration or expected completion date of the project, that it should add extra value to what will have been derived from the existing one, that it should be scalable in the immediate future to meet the additional space so urgently required by the hospital. Because as we will learn later, the new scheme has had to reduce the scope.
The Ministry of Health says the long-stalled maternity and children's block fails to meet the minimum standard required by the building regulations. Emmanuel Asabre is project manager for Akito Consult, consultant to the contractor.
Be able to peel off the iron rod. Now it shows the extent of the rust. Now try the concrete. Now concrete shouldn't be this way, not under any circumstance. Even block work will not peel if you touch it. It shows you the level of deterioration we have currently. Because of the need to try to resolve the issue, these new columns were attempted by the new contractor who came in. Even this still didn't work. What it means is that if we are to work on this, it means that we have to make it bigger. And this is what we call jacketing, by encasing it again. Encasing it, we are losing space and not getting any value for money. And these are some of the things that virtually led to it. And if you see the way we dug the foundation, what it means is that when we go to the top, you see what it means. Remember, we are supposed to demolish all these to be able to work on the foundations on the ground before we go up, which then doesn't add up. So one of the investigations we did to see what we had, every concrete needs a certain minimum cover. Currently, these do not meet the minimum covers. So we did this to see how much the rust is running through it. And you can see how it interconnects. So once it's rusting, it goes through the whole facility. And the thickness of the slab we're dealing with. If you look at this, you realize that the bar sizing, first of all, is too small. The detailing is not as it's supposed to be, and it's too thin.
Construction firm contractor says the construction of the new building and demolition of the old structure will progress concurrently. Various governments since 1976 have worked on the project at various stages without any hope of conclusion. A JoyNews documentary by Seth Kwame Boateng titled Next to Die, highlighting challenges of mothers, compelled the government to source funding to complete the project. For JoyNews, Nanaya Ojima reporting.
Now, residents of Tontokrom in the Amansia South District of the Ashanti region are worried about the deplorable roads in the area. They say armed men have taken advantage of that to rob them. They want government to give them better roads as quickly as possible. Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin reports.
Clad in red, the residents chant to express their displeasure over the bad rules. Several appeals by the residents in the past have not yielded positive results. According to them, armed robbers terrorize them each passing day.
I was on my way to that tunnel, and when I reached to Akotokrim Hill, armed robbers pointed a gun at me and warned me not to move or they will kill me. They hit me in the back with the gun and took all my valuables.
Last week Tuesday, I'm here. Yes, at about
7:10 last Tuesday, I took a taxi at the tunnel to Tontokrom. Immediately we took the cave at Akotokrim. Armed robbers pounced on us. They took 30,000 from me and they hit me with something. It was never easy. When I was coming this morning too, there was an alert that armed robbers were at Dadiase, a village before the tunnel.
The residents want government's protection.
Emma 2 years ago, the former district chief executive brought security personnel to man the area. The armed robbery incident reduced. When they left 2 weeks ago, on the instructions of the government, armed robbers are back on the roads.
Tokorim is one of the hotspots where the robbers mount barriers to rob innocent residents and traders. There is poor road network and telecom connectivity.
Every Tuesday, on Market Day, the armed robbers rob the traders. They mount a barrier at Akotokrim, where it has damaged bridge and poor telecommunication network and robbed traders. This occurred 3 times in 2 weeks. This is a matter of great concern to the people of Tontokrom. Exactly 3 days ago, similar incidents happened at the tunnel. The armed robbers took away an amount of 500,000 from a trader. Almost 5 billion.
The police station built is yet to receive the attention of the Ghana Police Service. The residents are seeking the deployment of security personnel to ease armed robbery cases. A report by Mohammed Nuruddin.
Now to one of the most discussed issues in Ghana at the moment. Police in Kwabenya raided a house in Ashoman believed to be the office of gay rights activist LGBT Rights Ghana. Government has in the last few days come under intense pressure from religious and some pressure groups to shut down the office after social media photos showing that a fundraising event had been organized by the group. JoyNews editor Fred Smith was there when the house was raided and reports.
This 5-bedroom apartment, located on the hills of Ashongman here in Accra, has been the subject of controversy on mainstream and social media for days after photos of an LGBT fundraiser event there popped up on Sunday. It has, among others, beds, sofas, and gay magazines. Following the raid, members of the group went on social media and asked all human rights organizations and allies to speak out against what they described as an attack. The post reads as follows.
This morning, our office was raided by national security. Few days ago, traditional leaders threatened to burn down our office, but the police did not help. At this moment, We no longer have access to our safe space and our safety is being threatened. We call on all human rights organizations and allies to speak out against.
But following viral videos on social media of LGBT activities taking place in the capital, Accra, the police, in the company of the landlord, have decided to visit this facility where it's alleged that an LGBT event took place a few days ago, and to ascertain for themselves if the claims were true. Indeed, the landlord, in the company of police officers, came here. There were men who were in the facility. The police tell me about 2 of them were in the facility initially. When the landlord started knocking, there was no response from those who were in, and after a while they realized that those people in here had taken to their heels and scaled the wall. The other rooms we've not been able to access yet. The police have so far secured the facility and intend to break into the other rooms and investigate what may have been kept over there. It is exactly the site which landlord Dr. Asenso Jan Bibi says violates the agreement signed with the tenant.
He got the house. I have not met him personally. It was through the agent. I called him and asked him, what work do you do? He says, oh, they are an NGO. Promoting health. He said, from where? He says, oh, their funding is from Sweden. I said, okay. So in the midst of COVID, it was agreeable. But I told him not to touch anything without my permission, not to change any painting, no fixtures, and that is embedded in the tenancy agreement. So when I got the information and he was trying to be dodgy and he realized I was getting angry, he said, oh, we promote the health of this LGBT whatever. And I said, well, come on, what do you mean? Then I told him, end there. I'm moving from Kumasi to Accra right now. So yesterday, 1 o'clock, I set off and I called National Security. I called the police commander for Kwabenya, and I got to Kumasi around 7. So they said it was too late this morning. We are going to have this operation.
The traditional rulers of Kwabenya, who oversee Ashongman, disgusted about the use to which the facility has been put. Ni Ayitaki speaks for the Kwabenya Traditional Authority.
We had to follow up to this place because there are some people were bent on, causing mayhem, because we don't want this kind of activities in our area at all. This authority, this area, actually we have so many divine issues here. We have churches, we have all that. And we have children that is coming up. And then we also have an issues that we are grappling with. And then all this while, then these people to have to come in with their various activities.
As investigations begin, police say they will scan the facility for evidence of LGBT activities. In the meantime, police will maintain a 24-hour presence there until all evidence have been obtained. Fred Smith, Ashongman.
Well, Amnesty International has condemned this act by the police. It describes it as an invasion of the safe space for homosexual group LGBT plus rights Ghana. Acting Country Director Frank Doi says though his outfit does not condone criminal acts, the action of security agencies raises serious concerns if members were not using the facility for illegal acts.
Our work is focused solely on the impartial protection of fundamental human rights and freedoms, so that if an individual or a group of persons are found to be engaging in an act of criminality in any facility at all, they will respect the right thing to be done, which is for the law to take its course. In this particular instance, what we have heard is that the facility was invaded based on the assumption or the allegation that there are some individuals in the facility who are engaging in certain activities that are in violation of our laws. Our concern is that the rights of Ghanaians to privacy and property is guaranteed by the Constitution. Article 18 clearly spells out every Ghanaian's right to privacy and property, so that if for some reason a facility is to be invaded by law enforcement agencies, the question we would ask is, what is the procedure provided in our laws? If it has to do with the individuals renting a facility for use, and it appears to the landlord, or it seems to the landlord that the facility is not being used for the intended purpose, it's clearly provided in our Rent Control Act, as to what should be done in order to reclaim or recover that facility. But the circumstances under which the facility was invaded is what we consider to be a clear violation of the very laws that we all seek to uphold. It is important to make this very point that Amnesty International recognizes that issues about LGBT, QI and all that are very sensitive, very controversial issues. And so we always want people to understand our position, that Amnesty International as a human rights organization does not endorse or support any act of criminality. But then when the rights of individuals are clearly violated, then that becomes a serious issue of concern, to us. The question we have to ask again is whether or not the individuals who were found in that particular facility were seen engaging in any act of criminality. If they were not, then clearly it's an issue, of, the security agencies engaging in an act that is not supported by our laws.
And that's Acting Country Director of Amnesty International, Mr. Dowie, there speaking to my colleague, Gifty Ando-Apia. You're watching News Desk with me, Bernice Apubedulan. So let me just mention that former Attorney General Dominic Ayeni is in court today over contempt charges. Our man is there. We'll bring you all the details you need to know. And also, we're expecting that Alan Tremanting, who is Trades Minister Designate, will appear before the Appointments Committee shortly, and we'll also take you live when that is ready. Now, the Water Resources Commission says it's working feverishly to facilitate the formation of the buffer zone legislative instrument seeking to protect the country's water bodies. Director of Environmental Quality, Adra Painsel, says this has become necessary to secure gains made by the Anti-Galamsey Task Force, which prevented illegal miners from operating for months. Minister-designate for Sanitation and Water Resources, Cecilia Abnadapa, on Tuesday said that efforts of the task force have resulted in improved water quality. She made this revelation when she appeared before the Appointments Committee. But how would that be sustained, especially as the task force has been withdrawn? JoyNews' Hannah Otami has been finding out. There's more in this report.
I am prepared to put my presidency on the line on this matter.
In July 2017, President Akufo-Addo vowed to restore the country's water bodies, which were then heavily polluted due to activities of illegal mining. The formation of a task force went to work, destroying and seizing equipment of the operators. 4 years on, Minister-designate for Sanitation and Water Resources, Cecilia Abnadapa, has been giving an assessment of the work done by the task force.
The water quality as of July 2020 was quite good with their turbidity levels. And Mr. Chairman, with your kind permission, if I may cite one or two of them for our consumption. Brim, River, Sea in Achimda, and Osino, for instance, the turbidity used to be 1,590, but it's now 268. And Ankobra, which used to be 4,432, is now 503. And we have the Tano, the Bia, the Pra.
But what exactly does these figures mean? That's the question I put to Director of Environmental Quality at the Water Resources Commission, the agency which produced the figures for the minister-designate.
The turbidity means, okay, to put it in the layman's language,
exactly
how dirty the water is or how muddy the water is. The water was so muddied that you fetch it and it was very thick with mud. And so because of that, the treatment plants could not handle that. So over a period of time, actually in 2017, the values kept coming down.
She's also been telling me the Commission is concerned about the withdrawal of the task force.
We are concerned that the figures may not be maintained because of the absence of the task force. We are also appealing at the same time to Ghanaians to help us. Then the development of legislative instruments. So we are in the process of developing a legislative instrument for the buffer zone, because right now it is a policy. So we make it into a law, then we can enforce the law.
What's in there?
It gives the distances from the within the channel of from the channel of the river to a certain distance, let's say 90 meters. What should be done within that distance so that we can preserve and conserve the water bodies.
For Joy News, I am Hannah Odami.
And you're watching News Desk with me, Bernice Abubedulansa. In business, countries under the Africa Continental Free Trade Area that impede trading of goods to be sanctioned by the African Union. We've got details of these and this particular one shortly. Do stay.
Hi, good morning. Welcome to Business. My name is Darryl Kwao. Countries under the Continental Free Trade Area that impede trading of goods will be sanctioned by the African Union. This is to ensure that all states are treated fairly under the deal, which has been described as the second largest in the world. Technical advisor at the Ministry of Trade and Industry, Anthony Bayfi, disclosed this at a virtual sensitization seminar organized by the Chamber of Commerce in partnership with Joy Business in Accra. Here's a report.
Following the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, many entrepreneurs are anticipating challenges with other countries with regards to tariff adjustment on goods and services. Addressing members of the business community at a sensitization seminar organized by the Ghana Chamber of Commerce and Industries in partnership with Joy Business, technical advisor at the Ministry of Trade and Industry, Anthony Bayfi, assured that all the necessary measures have been put in place to sanction defaulting countries.
On dispute settlement, now the member states have also agreed on the working procedures for the dispute settlement. They have come out with the expert review and then the codes of conduct for the panel members, the appellate bodies, and what have you, who will see to the implementation of that agreement.
Senior partner at AB and David Ofosu-Dorte, urged businesses to use the agreement as a stepping stone to establish their presence on the African continent.
Current visibility of your product is part of the things to be considered in terms of fitting into the strategy. Because if your product is not visible, then nobody can buy it. And therefore, strategies to make your product visible, and these days, online means like Instagram, etc., are all common means that people manage to reach other. And I've had occasion to give examples like Kente, which is very popular demand in many Southern African countries. As an example, it's already visible, and depending on the market that you are in.
Speaking to Joy Business on a trade impasse between Ghana and Benin, Deputy Commissioner of Customs, Fetchin Akoto, advised businesses to make a good choice considering the free trade agreement rather than the ECOWAS trade liberalization scheme.
We don't get the processes very clearly to distinguish between them. It's rather giving us more opportunities. What it means is you weigh the two agreements. You look at whichever is acceptable or suitable to you. You go for that one. If the ECOWAS ETLS is acceptable or more flexible for you, you go for it. If the AFTA rules are more flexible, you go for it. It means the options are open to you.
The program was themed AFCFTA, adopting the right business strategies to fully benefit.
Now, prices of tomatoes remain high in various markets at Kumasi in the Ashanti region, almost a week after transporters and importers suspended their industrial strike. Now, though access to the vegetable has improved, retailers are hoping distributors reduce prices. Love FM's Mona Lisa Frimpong has more in this report.
Tomatoes were in short supply for almost 2 weeks when transporters and importers embarked on strike to protest incessant highway robberies. Following the suspension of the strike, the supply has improved. Prices, however, remain high. At the Aja and Central markets, a wholesale box of tomatoes, which used to sell at 450 Ghana cedis, has more than doubled, selling at 1,000 Ghana cedis.
They say I'm going to buy the price in there. The
price of tomatoes now is constant. Neither has it reduced. We cannot sell it cheaply to our customers, else we will be running at a loss. There are trucks loaded with tomatoes coming to the markets lately. Though prices are high, the suppliers have no intent reducing the price for us.
Because better 2 weeks ago, now I'm the J 7,000, 8,000.
A box of tomatoes was sold to us for 650 Ghana cedis. This is better compared to the earlier prices.
And I said, so Mama or my police, this was just for no good money into me.
1 million. A bucket was sold at 100 cedis, but it is now sold at 75 cedis.
Price ne high there, but
we do not get the tomatoes to buy. However, we often find the rotten. We can't help but sell it expensively.
Obaya, a kinky seller, says she has been affected by the price increase.
Tomatoes in baby dinner, that can in a concord the casino 90 ACD, VGD 90 ACD. They say a Puma do 18 CD.
Prices are constant. My customers complain when I give them a little pepper to add to their kinky. I tell them tomatoes are hard to come by.
The traders are hoping for a drop in the price of tomatoes. We tell our customers that the increase in the price of tomatoes is as a result of the robbery attacks on tomato traders. Mona Lisa Frimpong reporting.
And that's your business update. Sports is coming up next. Stay tuned.
We're expecting Trades Minister Designate Alan Tremanting to appear, but we have that feed from court. Former Attorney General Dominic Ayene was found guilty of contempt. We understand he is going to hear what his punishment is. Let's take you live to the court.
We want to describe him for having apologized and purged yourself of contempt. Thank you very much.
And we are very grateful for your magnanimity and for this discharge. And we promise you that we will sin no more. We are most grateful.
Mr. Menuvo, did you come to support your roommate?
Yes, my lords. I came to support my roommate and my best man and my best friend.
You were not announced, so there's nothing on record that you came to support him.
No, I'm not appearing as counsel, but as a friend of Dominic Ayene and a best man at his wedding. Yes, my lord. He was Commonwealth Secretary in our year. He's a very good friend of mine. We go way back. I'm grateful to the court for the court's magnanimity.
All right.
Very, very brief one there. We just heard justices of the Supreme Court discharge former Attorney General Dominic Ayine after he retracted and apologized harm comments that the court deemed contemptuous. And so there you have it. That case is done. But we know that March 4 has been set for judgment on that actual petition brought in by the NDC's 2020 flag bearer, John Dramani Mahama. And as always, this is your election headquarters. All election-related stories and fallout from elections are dealt with properly here with expert analysis and extensive coverage. So we'll be bringing you more on that. Obviously ending with some humor there. Lawyer Amenuvo, who is lawyer for the first respondent, that's the Electoral Commission, indicating that he came there to support Dominic Ayine, who is his friend. And he explained how their friendship started and mentioned that they go way back. Well, that'll be it for this edition of News Desk with me, Bernice Abubaidi Lansa. As always, I really appreciate your company. Do stay. Mapito CBD is next with JoyNews Interactive, but don't forget, once we get that feed from Parliament, Trades Minister Designate Alan Tremanting appearing before Parliament's Appointment Committee will take you there quickly. But once again, thanks for your company and do enjoy the rest of your day.